You're welcome back. Now, today we're going to talk about the upcoming parliamentary primaries for the opposition NDC. Now, a total of 118 people, 20 women, 98 men, have all picked forms so far to contest in the Greater Accra Region. The nominees include former Executive Director of the National Service Secretariat, Dr. Michael White. Actor John Dumelo is also on that list. And of course, there are many incumbent MPs, including the MPs for Ningo Pram Pram, as well as Ududu Diudiu, Ablikuma South, and so forth, who are all hoping to return to their seats. So the primaries are coming up in August, but let's learn a little bit about the processes and what it really means for the party that is now the largest in opposition. To help us understand all of these, we're very happy to have the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Barbara Sewa Asamoah. It's very nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
It's good to be here too.
Excellent. Well, let's start from the general basic information about it, when it's happening, and how many people have picked forms, and whether deadlines have closed, and so forth.
Thank you very much, and good morning to viewers. Yes, indeed, we started the whole process on the 10th, and last week, Friday, we brought the picking of nominations to a close. However, during the course of it, we had cause to put certain constituencies on hold for one or two reasons. And so at the moment we are going on with 197 constituencies. Okay. And out of the 197 constituencies so far, we've had 749 people picking nomination forms.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
To contest for the primaries.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's really encouraging, and it shows that indeed the NDC has become very, very attractive going into next year's election. Unfortunately for me, out of the huge number, only 61 happen to be women.
Right.
And I thought that where we have reached, we would have seen more women getting involved in the process. And my joy, however, is that we have many of them coming from areas that if they're able to go through the primaries, then it's likely we are going to see them in Parliament. And that is kind of consolation. The process is ongoing. Right now, as I'm speaking, people are busy going around to get delegates or party executive, whatever, to endorse their forms. That process will also come to an end on Friday. We'll begin on Thursday, and my advice is that we'll give opportunity to people who have errors on their forms to go and rectify them. However, it is better if you take advantage to do your filing on the first day, so that if you have issues with your form, you will have 24 hours to rectify whatever problems you have on the forms, because we don't want the bill to be anybody to build out in the process. We are expecting all the 749 people who have picked forms to be able to file their nominations
by Friday.
By Friday, which is the 19th of July.
Okay.
On the 24th and 25th, we'll go through the vetting process. That is to ensure that all those who have picked the nominations are indeed qualified to contest on the ticket of the NDC per our constitution as well as the national constitution. And then after that, those who are able to go through, we'll give them the opportunity. They have started, but we'll give them the opportunity to do vigorous campaign. And however, we are expecting that it will be very clean and campaign. Then finally on the 24th of August, we'll go into the primaries to elect our candidates.
Okay, so let's talk about the forms, the nomination forms. How much does it cost to pick a form?
It was 2,000 only.
2,000 cedis.
Yes,
okay.
2,000 cedis only.
We didn't get the general mosquito treatment here, where we're using the forms to raise funds and all that.
Oh, it's indeed a form of fundraising, and we have taken a decision as a party not to be going into anything with a debt. So we try as much as possible to raise funds to be able to cover the processes. And so I think, and it's gone very well for us. Yes.
Now, you mentioned that your disappointment that you didn't have more women, coming forward. What has the party done to encourage women to put themselves up for these positions?
Thank you very much. When I entered your studio, one of your guys asked me, why Deputy General Secretary? I always want to challenge the status quo, venture into areas where, and I thought that some of the activities that we have embarked on as a party, it would encourage more women to be interested. Aside from that, the filing fee, which is 25,000 Ghana cedis, the party that is very, very gender sensitive has slashed it into 2 for female contestants or aspirants, and so I thought that would be a huge morale booster for men, especially if you look at the gender activities that have been going on over the years. We would expect that you find more women coming up to show their face. Indeed, you were embarking on a project to get more women, I mean Joy FM, to get more women to get involved in the assembly elections. There have been a series of gender activities going on by different kinds of people and institutions, and so I was really looking forward to a situation where more women will be encouraged to come in, and so I was expecting that at least we'll have 1/3 of the numbers being women. But however, like I said, many of them are coming from areas that if they're able to go through the primary successfully, we will see them in Parliament, and that's encouraging.
Okay, now some notable names of those who are seeking to represent their constituencies on behalf of the party, like John Dumelo and Dr. Kwesa White, who has done this before, has put himself up before, coming back, seeking to do the same. Tell me, what does this mean for the party? How do you interpret, a desire by people, in the public domain to represent the party in Parliament?
Thank you very much. First of all, I believe that it shows that now more and more people want to get involved in the governance structure, and this is one of the easiest way to influence decision making. If you are part of the law making body, then you ensure that we churn out the best laws for the country, and you also serve as a check on the executive to make sure that the right things are done. And so if you find out that more and more people who were not the typical politicians are now venturing into politics, it shows that people are no longer sitting on the fence and that people want to get involved. If you look at somebody like Nana Oyelita, who has been a gender advocate, I remember when I started politics, they were the ones, and Mrs. Rose Mensah, Kutin and the likes, were the ones who were taking us through training and encouraging us to go on. And I always ask myself, these women who are always asking other women to go and do this, why are they not involved themselves? Today you find Nana Oyelita trying to get involved, and it's encouraging, even though she has been a minister. I'm sure that's also encouraged her a lot to but I wish her very well, because I know that if she's able to make it, it will serve as she will serve as a role model for so many women that she has tried to bring up in politics.
Right. Okay. Now, every time there is a primary, the issue of vote buying comes up. Tell me what your party is doing to make sure that your primaries will be free of any such practices. In fact, is it even possible to make sure that your primaries don't have people branding products and using them, distributing them in the hope of getting votes in return and so forth? How are you going to prevent all of these malpractices?
Thank you very much. The first step that we have taken as a party, if you remember the last primaries, that was in 2015, we tried to change the system and then enlarge the delegates so that we'll have many more people getting involved. However, due to some challenges, we had to go back to the former. But however, what we are doing that we believe will ensure that there will be no vote buying is that we are not going to have the normal conferences where people will be gathered for aspirants to have the opportunity to come and distribute these items, the branded items like you are talking of. And so we are going to do the primaries like we did in the presidential primaries. We are not going to do a conference. So you get out from your house, you go and join the queue, you vote, and then you leave there. So there will be nobody there to distribute anything. And we have told all aspirants as part of our regulations that campaign will end a day before the primary. So that is on the 23rd of August. All campaigning activities will be put on hold. And because you will not be able to gather people at one place, there will not be the need to try to give incentives.
Really? I mean, what would stop
on the large scale,
an aspirant from doing that during their campaign, for example?
It becomes very difficult, because it will be difficult carrying things and going to people's homes and distributing them.
Do it all the time?
No, I mean, not in this situation. If you have a conference, all the people are gathered, then you have a situation where in the past we have even heard that people go and camp delegates and so on and so forth. And then even at the conference grounds, people come with all kinds of gifts and
so
branded items.
I get the point that if you bring them all together, you make it easier for the candidates to get there.
Yes.
But vote buying can happen anywhere. It can happen at any time. So what is the party doing to ensure that, for example, during the campaign, which you are going to allow them to start doing vigorously very soon, that people don't go around in their constituency or go around the delegates and distribute these branded items or give them money or all of these things which are wrong when it comes to our electoral processes? You know,
you are in a human institution, and when you are putting up rules and regulations, excuse me, you have to make sure that there are things that you can check and stop the act. So if somebody is going to somebody's house and going to give the person money, it will be very difficult for you to even know, let alone try to stop it. We have encouraged our aspirants not to engage in that, but on our part, to ensure that the exercise is curtailed, that is why we are not going to do the conference type of primaries, to make sure that the issue of campaign and gathering people to be enabled people share all those kind of things will not happen.
So let's say somebody brings it to your attention, you know, that, oh, look, here are some branded things that this particular candidate is distributing to delegates, or here is some money that this candidate gave some delegates. If it is brought to your attention, what will you do?
So it also depends on what is branded. For example, if someone brands water or food and gives to somebody, it will be very difficult for you to hold the person in contempt of anything.
Your party does not consider that to be vote buying?
That's what I'm saying. It depends on the context, because if people are traveling from maybe 90 miles or kilometers to a place to vote, and so you give the person water or food, well, the person is campaigning for votes. And so if he puts his picture to indicate that, because if I the candidate himself may not be there. If he just goes to stand there and then somebody is giving food, you may not know that it's coming from this person. Normally, that is why it is branded, so that you know that it is coming from this person. It is not something that we will encourage. However, like I said, if you are setting rules and regulations, you have to ensure that you are doing ones that you can control, not the ones that you don't have the means of checking.
So what are your party's rules and regulations when it comes to these branded goods and so forth?
We have not had, especially when it comes to the parliamentary primaries, we've not had so many of such instances, and so it will be very difficult. But we have put in measures to ensure that there is no vote buying. Over the years, we've been trying different methods. This time around, that is why we are trying to avoid the conference type, so that people don't get the opportunity to do all those things. It's a learning curve, and so as we go on with this year's primaries. If those issues come up, then going forward we'll be able to know how to deal with them. But for now, what we think we can do is that if we avoid people getting opportunity to get the delegates in their numbers at a particular time, it will minimize the rate at which people can influence them.
All right. Now, I know that in Asawase, there are reports that somebody who is seeking to contest Muntaka, Masawudu, is facing some difficulties in doing so. I mean, is there an effort to prevent him from contesting?
Not that I know of at the national headquarters. I remember during the course of the week when we were selling the form, some gentlemen walked to my office because my boss, the general secretary, mandated me to sell the forms. So some gentlemen walked into my office and then they claimed that they had been denied the opportunity to pick forms from the Asawase constituency, and so they had come to the national headquarters to pick forms. And you know, when such things happen or you get such, if you need to cross-check to find out if really they had been denied. In the process of trying to confirm what they had come to say, the gentleman himself walked back to me and told me that, oh, now they had been given the form, so everything was okay. After that process, we've also had complaints about how the whole system, but we haven't gotten any official communication from Asawase constituency or from the Masawood guy who purportedly was being denied the forms.
Is it true that the regional secretary has been suspended for giving him the forms?
No, that's not true. Yesterday he was in Accra for a training program. I don't know if you heard about it. We introduced some new methods of paying dues payments. He was here with his treasurer to go through the process.
He's still in office.
But like I said, we haven't had any official communication either from the constituency or from the Masawood, the gentleman called Masawood. So we will not be able to take any decision on it. So there has not been any decision taken at all on the issue of the Asawase case. We have also heard it in the media, social media, and people talking about the incident, but officially we haven't gotten any communication. So if it comes to
clarify, the regional secretary has not been suspended.
No, he hasn't been suspended. There has not been any issue at all, and that will lead to his complaint.
Now, some big names have not picked forms, and that has also generated some interest. Alban Bagman hasn't gone. Fifi Kwete hasn't picked forms either. I mean, is the party getting some indication that some of them are perhaps deciding not to go ahead this year?
Thank you very much. For the names that you have mentioned, before we even opened nominations, we got the hint that some of them may not go again. For example, Honorable Abambaben, who happens to be my dad, my political father, I had the occasion to ask him after he attempted to become the flag bearer. He was going to go back to contest, and he told me that he's had enough. He's been in parliament. You know, he was a member of the first parliament. So since 1992, he's been in parliament up to 2018, and he's going to be there till 2020. He thought that he's had enough, and it was time he gave another person the opportunity to also contribute. It doesn't mean that he has finished playing his role in politics, and there are so many other things that he can do in the party. The others who have, you know, in life people move on. So if somebody decides not to contest elections again, you may not be able to find out exactly why the person has. But so far we've had a number of our sitting MPs. For Greater Region, I've heard about 4 of the sitting MPs who didn't pick form. In Greater Accra, I think it's only 1, and some other places.
So Fifi Kwete specifically has decided not
he didn't pick form anymore. So once the picking of form is over, we assume that he's not going again, because he won't have the opportunity even if he changes his mind.
What does this mean for the party generally, big picture, you know, when people like this decide not to go back into parliament?
Oh, for us, some go, some come. There are lots of people who have left the parliament, and we have always had replacements. If you don't give people the opportunity, you may never know what they are made of. Maybe there are better people out there. There's a saying that the beautiful ones are not yet born. How would you know if we are going to get better people in terms of advocacy and so on and so in parliament if they are not given the opportunity? So I think that basically these are giants in our political party who have played their role, and they will continue to play their role. But for now, they think that they've had enough, or they have contributed enough in Parliament, and they may want to continue, move on in other spheres of life. And I think it's a good decision. You know, at times it is better as a political person to sit back, analyze situation, then make the right decision at the right time. And I think that, for example, his constituency, we've had more than 7 people picking forms. It showed that we have more people who are capable to replace him. So let's get the best out of the people who are also there. Okay,
so you've already told us about Alban Bagbin, you've told us about Fifi Kwete. Any other big names that
yes, I know that Honorable Kwashiga is also not going again, and then I also know that the former regional minister for Greater Accra, Honorable Nilai Afotagbo, is also not going again. We also know that some big names who lost out in the last parliament have also gone back to pick forms, and so, like I said, some will go, and then you have some coming back, and so I think it's a very fair political system, and people are entitled to take whatever decisions they want to take.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the very best of luck with
Thank you very much.
Primaries in August, and let's see who emerges at the end of it all.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that was the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Barbara Samoa, getting us all briefed and ready for the primaries. All right, well, showbiz is coming up in just a moment. Stay where you are. We're back after these.